slightly changing tack then. I mean, if you were hiring for a product marketer into your team then, what sort of skills and attributes would you look for?
So I tend to look for good writers, people who, and good writers, I mean people who can write in a concise manner. So I think we see a lot of people who are like reasonable writers, but they tend to have very long form text. So I think the person I would look for is someone who knows how to cut out all of the excess information that's not necessarily that valuable, and like basically stick to the bare bones. Someone who can convey things very clearly in a short way, I think, is also typically the ones that get it better than others. I look for people who use analogies. That's typically one of the most challenging parts is when you're trying to get someone to understand something. If you can't create a bridge to something that they do understand today, it's really difficult to get them to understand what the product is that you're trying to sell. So someone who uses analogies effectively often, that is a big plus in my book. And then people with grit. I love working with people who like can stand up for what they believe in and provide information. So not necessarily get angry if there's a no, but figure out, okay, like what are the pieces that are missing? Why am I getting that no? And then presenting that information in a like well-delivered package. So use customer statements as arguments, use customer data as arguments, but really like not take no for an answer, like go back to the drawing board and say, okay, here are some of the things that I think is missing from the conversation. And by adding those pieces, we can have a better conversation, one that actually moves forward. And also knowing a balance of when to say no and when to just disagree and commit. I think that's always something that I'm looking for. And then growth mindset. Like I think I try to bring that to the table. Always like want to learn more. I tend to listen more than I speak. Others would probably say no. It depends on the meeting, of course. But I really try to like understand what is being brought in front of me instead of just like immediately saying no, or immediately saying, "Oh, we've tried that." Like I hate that expression. Like we've tried that, it didn't work. Like it's a cop out in my opinion. What I would love is like, oh, that's super interesting. In the past, we tried these things. This was the approach. How could we contribute so that we can perhaps run another experiment? And then if we have all the data available, then we can better make a decision of, okay, they've actually already done this. It didn't work out well. They thought really well about the problem and the solution. Let's move on. So that, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I look at the world.
It does. I mean, I agree with the storytelling angle in particular. And I know Product Marketing Alliance do a course around narrative design, which is really interesting, especially as you're talking about new solutions in new categories. You've got to join up the problem with existing solutions and help people understand it. So I think it's really important.